folks. Let's go to Chicago, where the fate of former Chicago cop Jason Van Dyke, who shot and killed Laquan McDonald, is now in the hands of the jury. While Van Dyke is on trial for first-degree murder, the judge told the jury they could also find Van Dyke guilty of second-degree murder, which much shorter sentence. Here with the latest from Chicago, Domite Pongo. Domite, what took place in the courtroom today? And also, is this question?
Domite, and thanks, Roland, for having me on.
I keep saying Domite because I keep, but I gotta go ahead.
No, it's no problem at all. But a lot happened in court today. The defense and the prosecution gave their closing arguments. The defense appealed to the humanity of Jason Van Dyke. They said that Jason Van Dyke is a man who doesn't need to be, for the rest of his life, identified as a murderer. They said that Van Dyke, if Laquan was a Boy Scout, maybe this would have been a wrong shooting, but he was a troubled child. And they also say that Jason Van Dyke followed his training. Well, the prosecution says Jason Van Dyke didn't know anything about Laquan McDonald's background, right? They said when he came to that shooting, he already knew that he was going to shoot him, using the quote that the psychologist that the defense called, "We're going to have to shoot this guy." The defense is saying that, and people defending Jason Van Dyke is saying that statement was taken out of context. It was mostly out of shock. A few other things really quickly that the prosecution outlined. They said that Jason Van Dyke didn't take time to reassess the situation the way his partners did. About 25 seconds after this whole ordeal, a taser arrived at the scene, which is something that the other officers called for.
And again, is this jury sequestered, or are they allowed to go home, allowed to see news? What's the case with the jury?
The jury is being sequestered. The jury is being sequestered, and as we talked about a while back, there's only one African-American on the jury, which has been a point of contention. The county of Cook is about 25% African-American. The city of Chicago, 30% African-American. Only one African-American on the jury, 7 whites, and the rest of them make up Latino, and one person believed to be an Asian, I believe.
That's real hard when you have second and the only one black person. Jury.
Yeah, especially in a case that's as racially charged as this. That has been something that people have really been looking at rather closely. And right now, I'm getting notes from activists who say that at 6:30 Chicago time in the South Shore neighborhood on the city's south side, and a protest at 71st and Chappelle, a demonstration is already being planned. Chicago police officers have deployed thousands of police officers on 12-hour shifts. Days off have been canceled. They're expecting over the next few days a lot of activity. And this weekend is the Chicago Marathon, a popular event in the city of Chicago. So that's something activists in this city are known to disrupt, large events to get the attention of lawmakers, and police are ready to respond to that type of thing. So it's going to be something to pay attention to for the next few days. All
right. Domite, we certainly appreciate it. Thanks a bunch. We'll be watching this verdict to see what takes place.
All right, thank you, Roland. A lot to cover here, so I look forward to breaking it all down with you.
All right, thanks a bunch, folks. Let's now go to Dallas, where the city of Dallas and the Dallas County DA, they're trying to keep public records in the both of them. The city has received 41 requests from the former officer's personnel file to 911 calls made after the shooting to what time she punched her time clock in and out on the day of the shooting. Yet the city attorney's office is seeking to deny them all. This is not sitting well with the attorney for both of Sean's family, and we'll be chatting in a moment with Lee Merritt, of course, who is the attorney for the family. I want to go to our panel here, talk about both of those cases. Obviously, Chicago is on edge, waiting to see what happens with this Jason Van Dyke decision. The city fought for 4 years for the videotape not to be released, and then once it was released, we finally saw that Jason Van Dyke and the cops involved were all lying.
Graphic.
They lied by saying Laquan McDonald was racing towards them when he wasn't. And we also know that that they went to a nearby Burger King, which had surveillance cameras, and then there's a huge gap there, and those officers raced that. So basically, and some of those officers have retired, have been disciplined. But I keep telling people, if you want to understand why there's a problem in Chicago, people don't trust cops in Chicago, this is a prime example.
It's a thick blue line, not just a thin blue line in Chicago. I'm from Joliet, Illinois. Spent a lot of time in
Chicago. Black cop or white cop. It's a blue line.
That's right. Now, what's most interesting about the Laquan case is that if you read, I watched the closing, but I also read about some of the testimony. The police officer took the stand in defense of himself. The psychiatry notes say something else, though, that when it came over the radio, that he said this shoot him if he attacked one of us with this. And then he said, we're going to have to shoot him if we run into him. They ran into him, they pulled up and start firing in silence. Rhea and where his mind was. That alone ought to convict him of not just first-degree murder, but second-degree murder. I think in the Dallas case, it's very bizarre. They're going to have to release that video. This is a bizarre case in Dallas. Something else was going on between those two, or something's going on between the police and this cop and that individual who was shot.
I think the video was really clear. And to me, I'm not an attorney, never played one on TV, but it just appears to me in the video, from what I saw, the young man was actually walking. They said that he was on something, or he was very hyper. He was clearly going to his right. The officer was to his right. He really was walking away. And officers on the video, you can hear the officer say, or the dispatch tell them, that he has a knife. They have a gun.
He was unstable.
And he was unstable, and you could tell that in the video that he was unstable. So for the police officer to pull up, and you can see his door ajar as he gets out before the truck even stops, and then he's already ready to shoot someone.
Ready? Because he shot him.
He's already ready. So I think that, again, I don't play an attorney, but I just think that to me, it's a very clear case.
Greg,
A couple of things very quickly. Number one, people wonder about why they're registered to vote. Juries are drawn from voter registration pools. So even if you don't pull the lever, register to vote so that you can serve on a jury.
Absolutely.
Secondly, jury selection matters. Like you said, how could they be that few non-whites on a jury in the city of Chicago? Because the lawyers go in and knock them out. And you make it easy by not being in the pool you serve. Life is cheap in this country, always has been. He was shooting at a human, he was shooting at a black. And so he feels like he can execute. If they let this man go, Michael Flegger on the outside has already said, they're going to shut Chicago down.
But you know, having been on the both sides of these types of cases, I got to tell you, Roland, one thing I've never understood about the police, wherever they are in the country, is with these mental cases, instability cases, PCP cases, what is the rush? These people are unstable. Laquan was walking away. You could have boxed him in with your car and held him. Mental health advocates could have come. You could have overcome him with, and I don't want to say it sounds the wrong way, but with the help of a police dog, if you will. There are ways to suppress him and take him alive.
Because they don't want to.
As opposed, exactly.
No, they don't want to. First of all, look, we know the case of the young man who was clearly mentally disturbed in St. Louis after the Michael Brown, and when the cop, it literally opened the door, it was 6 times before 7 shots were fired to kill him.
That's right.
Okay,
and that's why we have
so
Black
you had 2 cops with guns, a mentally stable man who actually was yelling, "Kill me, MF, kill me."
Right.
Now, I don't care who you are. If you're looking at somebody who's yelling at 2 cops who have guns, "Kill me," and you got a butter knife in your hand, you got a problem. But again, they also know that the law is on their side.
That's right.
The law says that if a cop is believed to be in imminent danger, or if, even in Missouri law, if there's a certain space between them and the person, they have the right to shoot to kill. And for them, they're not considering it. Oh, but we could show some video of somebody white who's actually been that way, and they have almost a brawl, and nobody pulls their gun out or even a taser. That's one of the things that we see.